time this correctly, we might have about 5 minutes for some questions, or if you want to hit me up during the break. I've got a couple of folders of my artwork and that, some prints and things. If anyone's interested in having a look, there's no problem at all. What I'm going to talk about will apply to photographers, craftspeople, musicians, creative, anyone with a creative pursuit or a small business. If I can just quickly ask, is there any photographers here or visual artists? I know there's some craftspeople. Yeah? Sculpting, good. I'm just going to give you my experience, how I use electronic media to promote myself, so how I promote myself online. It's kind of ironic that in the room over there, in the gallery section, I've got some work that's on part of a group exhibition that opens next week, which I'll come down for. And so it's kind of ironic that I'm talking about my stuff that I'll promote and do online, and next door in the brick and mortar is some of my work on the wall. All right. So create, share, connect, we have called it. And the reason I'm showing you this image is this is where it all started for me. Now, as I said, I'm going to relate a lot of stuff throughout here, a few points you might be able to use, but it's purely from my perspective. I was into jazz and blues, and I still am, and I did a painting many, many years ago which was called Jazz is Art. And this is the painting in the background here. Gee, we're going back, I don't know, 15 years or something ago, maybe. Yeah, it's a long time ago. I initially thought, I started doing this jazz work, and then I started thinking about, okay, I want to sort of put this online. The internet's the big thing, and I want to get some of my work online. What I did think is, I've got to have work that's got to be sustainable and interesting and something that I'm not going to go off of. So the jazz thing was the thing for me. So I went ahead and did a whole lot of paintings that were purely self-indulgent, stuff that I loved. I'd taken up saxophone at the time as well. I just loved all that stuff. So it's very easy to create if you're creating stuff that you're into as well, rather than in the situation of galleries later on. So I got a happy medium there. And I'll just say quickly that I'm probably a good representation of someone who, just from this local area, can be selling work now in galleries in Sydney and Melbourne and overseas, exhibition in Dallas and Texas. So it doesn't really matter where you're from, it really doesn't. I think about that sometimes, it kind of boggles me to tell the truth. But it is a level playing field, which we'll get to in a minute. But this is the painting that started it all for me, Jazz is Art. From that particular painting, I thought, well, I want to get this out to people. I want people to come and see my work. So I thought, how am I going to do this? Oh, jazz sites. I'll go to some jazz sites. I'll tell them about my art. Would they be interested in maybe have an art section in their website? So I wrote a nice invite letter and I sent it out to various websites. And lo and behold, a major jazz site in the States, in Italy, in Poland, I just sent the same letter out, email, with some images on. And before I know it, I had my work all around the world on jazz sites. And of course, with the images, because they've got my name attached, or jazz in the name, if you Google jazz, you'd get some of my images. And from that came, a jazz festival in New York. Out of the blue, I get an email from them asking, would I be interested in doing their promotional stuff, as in T-shirts for the show and some promotional brochures. Could I supply images? No problem. Started with the Adelaide Jazz Festival. They became aware of my work. I did some work for them. Newcastle Jazz Festival, the States, and Moscow Jazz Festival as well. They wanted some images. And the thing about that, when you get a guy from Russia contacting you saying he wants to use some of your images, you're immediately thinking, yeah, sure, I'm going to be ripped off here. After a few emails, it got down to they only wanted to use a section of each of my paintings, and that I could supply in 300 dpi, which I could supply in a resolution which they could print. In the folders there's some pictures of what they ended up doing with my work, which was on billboards and little cards and things. So what I'm trying to get at here is, from a small idea, whatever your idea is, if you're thinking about creating something online or promoting anything, is think about the longevity of that. Think about, can I sustain that? You never know, if your heart and soul is in something, you just never know. And you put it out there, and you have a little bit of luck as well, but you target those people, which we'll get to in a minute about targeting audiences. That happened to me anyway, out of the blue, kind of weird. that this exhibition here in Dallas a few years ago, some of these names you guys won't probably know, but in illustrations circles, there's people here who do work for Rolling Stone magazine, Time magazine, illustrators. That one came about, that show there. He's a illustration collector and he runs a small gallery. He contacted me in an email, and once again I thought, this is BS, you know, there's no way that they're interested in this little guy doing these drawings and paintings. Because I was exhibiting at the time, I must say, and showing some of my work on my website. I ended up sending an email to Storyopolis saying, is this dinkum or not? And they said, yeah, that's our boss. Yeah, if he likes your work, you must be good, you know, something like, wow, okay. And through that came some conversations with him via email. He wanted my work over there, so I sent 5 pieces, paintings and drawings for an exhibition in Dallas. He paid for everything, sent the work over there. And I thought about, if I don't sell these, and it's a big thing to get these back as well, is it worth it? And it has been. You know, I've lived off that fact that I've had work exhibited in the States, Dallas, and he's got another gallery in Los Angeles, which it went for a little while. So out of a small idea, jazz, and getting your work on the internet, on whether it be a website, a blog, or social media, there's people out there that you don't expect who are going to, if it's good enough anyway, pick up on it. The idea is everything. As I mentioned, create work that is sustainable and interesting. Mainly interesting to yourself, and I'll admit I'm, apart from not being a public speaker, I'm certainly a little bit probably slack as far as my work goes. I often don't take it seriously. I really don't care if someone was to steal a picture of mine and show it on their website. Well, good luck to them. If they're going to make money out of it, that's a different thing. I'm kind of get bored with it, everything I do as I go along, to tell you the truth. I'm always looking forward. I haven't been totally ripped off up until now. If I put my work up there at 72 dots per inch, we'll get to this later too, resolution, I'm pretty safe for the most part. They're not going to be able to make a very large poster. They can use some resizing software, but I've used it myself. It's not the greatest. But it just depends how careful you are or paranoid you are, you know, as far as that goes. Here's another interesting story that came along. There was a magazine, and this is all to do with me and promoting myself, okay? This is just how I do it, and how chance and luck can play a part as well. This particular poster here, the big day out, was for a magazine in Adelaide that are running a competition for the front cover. DB magazine, you're probably familiar with DB, no? Anyone, DB? Old street mag? I put out a poster. This was for the concert for the big day out with Tool and Muse and the Killers and Violent Sounds Fantastic some years back, and I won that competition, and I won tickets to the festival and everything, which was nice, and a whole package of CDs and down at the office at DB. The morning that I was about to go there, I can't think of his name, but the guy who organises the big day out in Australia anyway, yeah, he gave me a call and he wanted an original print of that, which is a really nice thing to do. And all these things can go on your CV. You want to put it on there. These are good things. When I talked about targeting and getting your name out there, Triple J, I was mucking around with Photoshop back then, and they're not very good examples compared to these days, but I thought I'd have a bit of fun with some of their announcers and chop and change parts of their faces and bodies and heads and mix them all up. There was about 15 to 20 of these I did, and I called it Off Their Faces. Video card killed the radio star. I then sent emails out to their various announcers pointing them to my website and this image that's on there. And lo and behold, hits went up. They mentioned it on the radio. I had phone calls and all sorts. Once again, that's me purposely targeting, finding out who it is. I'd go to a newsagent and I look at magazines. I see various pages and pictures that are interesting, and writers who talk about illustrators or artists, and I'll look at their name and I'll jot it down and I'll tuck that away and I'll email some of my stuff out to those guys as well. So you're promoting. Build it and they will come. This one here is a drawing called Nest Working, play on networking. That was for Wacom as a brand, Wacom. And they had a competition where you could send in works and win prizes and so forth. And I sent this work in, and they ended up liking it so much, and some of my other stuff, they invited me to do like a tutorial. So I did a tutorial piece on how to draw that image for Wacom in Asia. put me in this pro section, pro tutorial. So all the time it's sort of like, wow, this is kind of interesting. Once I'm this little guy I keep remembering, and yet all this great stuff is happening. Location, location, location. You're familiar with the expression. It's bullshit. It's promotion, promotion, promotion. All right? It doesn't matter where you come from. It's a level playing field, all on the same platform. There's nothing stopping any of you guys doing it, whether you're creating a craft site, your art site. You just got to be clever about it. You've got to be thinking about those ideas and what you're presenting. I'll get to it in a little while, but talking about curating your own work as well.